All right, moving on. Probably the most fast-paced series of the regular season, of the postseason, by two teams who are fast-paced in the regular season. It's the Indiana Pacers versus the Milwaukee Bucks, the 3-6 matchup. Damian Lillard versus Tyrese Halliburton. Malik Beasley said this would happen after the in-season tournament where the Pacers embarrassed the Bucks. He said that we're going to see them in the playoffs and it's going to be a different story. And that's a check that Dame has to cash in, at least for the first couple of games, because Giannis will be out with injury. Matt, give us a recap of what you expect in the series.
I mean, the Pacers are called the Pacers for a reason. I'm just so interested to see how it's going to translate to the playoffs. Because people always say, oh, it always slows down, it always goes to half court. This is this is like when you get fiber in your house. Like this is like an ultra fast team. This is 5G right here. Like the pace that they have brought this season, I'm so curious if they're going to basically get scored against and throw the ball up. Because obviously turnovers is something you really need to limit in playoff games, obviously regular season games as well. But are we going to see some 140 scores? From the Pacers, from the Bucks, a lot of their games have played so far have been very high scoring, and high scoring was Giannis Antetokounmpo's game against the Pacers. I think he was averaging something like 40, 10, and 5 against the Pacers over the season. Obviously, they were unsuccessful against them in the in-season tournament, and we just love like there's no rival. Tyrese Halliburton, there's no rivalry between the Bucks and the Pacers. They haven't played each other before, but there is tiny little regular season feuds. They just add the little moments of game balls and bits like this. We just love to see it. Was it Oscar Tshiebwe who scored his career points whilst Giannis had his career high 60 something?
Yep. Giannis had 64, same game. Oscar Tshiebwe, I think, made a layup. So
I think it was like
there
a
was,
free throw.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it was a free throw. Yeah, exactly. So that caused all that controversy, which led us to this moment. So we cannot complain at all about it. And like you said, the Pacers averaged 123 points per game in the season series against the Bucks, and the Bucks averaged 119 points per game in the season series. So two teams that are very assertive offensively, know how to score on each other. A big blow for the Bucks is the fact that Giannis is out for game one, basically 100%, and likely out for game two. He's been averaging 30, 11, and almost 7 this season on 60% shooting, which has never been done, by the way. So shout out to Giannis for that. But nonetheless, Dame, who's had a very streaky season, now has to step up and face the Pacers and kind of cook on his own and carry the team. Very reminiscent of the Portland days, if you ask me. Um, one X factor for me, I know it's early on, but I'll just say it from now, is the Bucks big men, Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez. They need to be able to be switchable enough to where someone like Tyrese Halliburton doesn't exploit them with passing to open teammates or making them pay and drop. And on top of that, Brook Lopez needs to hit his threes. Bobby Portis needs to match or be similar to Giannis's aggressiveness. And we saw that, for example, in the game against the Celtics and one other regular season games that the Bucks had when Giannis was injured, where Bobby Portis just went off and had near 30 points and 10 rebounds, all that stuff, and played good defense, which he's not known to be a good defender. So these are some of the many things that the Bucks are going to need out of those two guys to be able to win this series.
Man, thanks, Skit. So we've already got your X Factor, Bobby Portis, Bobby P, BP on the man. Right. I'm actually hating the way I have to predict this because not only if it's a health thing with Giannis, just for those that don't know, this sprain is basically a sprain that KD had in the 2019 playoffs, and that led to a ruptured Achilles. So that unlike Jimmy Butler, I hope they really take their time. This is their franchise player. You just signed him to a ridiculous supermax. There will be another season, and if we're being honest, this hasn't been the Bucks season. I don't think we can agree they're probably not a championship contender this year. That I would go that far. They haven't performed to expectations. The Dame and Giannis pick and roll hasn't clicked. Obviously, Doc Rivers has been a mess as well. He's fixed the transition defense, uh, but that's about it. They've basically been just over a 500 team since the Adrian Griffin firing and replacement. I don't trust the defense. Oh God, please don't make me take the Pacers. I think that would be an overreaction. I think taking the Pacers would be an overreaction. What do you think?
Well, Matt, that's why it's your prediction, not mine. I've given
Uh,
my prediction in all the previous videos. Check those out on YouTube. Matt, what's your prediction? I'm gonna put you on the spot a bit. Give me a team and how many games.
because I can't have the Bucks out 2 years in a row, and obviously they'll be playing the winner of the 76ers next series that we'll talk about in later episode. Okay, the Pacers aren't that good. Okay, Bucks and 7.
Wow, Bucks in 7. Okay, that's interesting. Um, I guess this gives me leeway to talk about the Pacers X factor, who is Pascal Siakam. He's had a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of his performance. He hasn't been too efficient since he's joined the Pacers, but he's definitely shown flashes. I think Siakam could be in for a big series, just depending on how good Bobby Portis defends. But yeah, like he's had a pretty quiet stint with the Pacers. Like, the most we've heard was when he went there, and then since then it's kind of been crickets, but he's been there, he's been playing. Um, if Siakam can have a good series, if Tyrese Halliburton can hit his shots from deep specifically, I think the Pacers are going to win the series. I'm sorry. I think the Pacers are going to win in 6. I think the fact that Giannis's injury is similar to the one KD had, and Giannis is at what, about 2 weeks of rest right now, and KD needed about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks until the Warriors made it to the finals, and then KD came back, and then he got injured. So I know Giannis is more durable, but I'm not taking any chances. Giannis, I love you. You're one of my favorite players in the NBA, but sit this one out and let the Pacers win in 6 games. Shout out Spicy P. That is my takeaway from the series. What do you have any objections?
I must want to change my mind. Am I allowed to change my position?
If you change it in the next 5 seconds, you're allowed to.
Pacers in 7.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
switching it.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's gonna be tough for Dame, man. He's gonna be out in the first round almost every year since that conference finals year, and like missing the playoffs too. So it's just rough. But nonetheless, we'll have all off season to talk about it. But specific to this series, that is our prediction. I expect it to be entertaining though. Malik Beasley, I expect him to stand on business for at least one game and have at least one good game. I don't know how much I trust him to, stop Halliburton or anything like that, which is another factor. It's the Bucks perimeter defense is so bad, and the Pacers thrive on their perimeter offense. So it's just two things that don't really uh go well together, especially for the Bucks, which is why I
Mhm.
have the Pacers winning. But nonetheless, remember to enjoy basketball, everyone.
Shout out TJ McConnell.